All right. Hello, everybody. I'm PeteDorr, and I'm going to be playing Spider-Man Web of Fire for you today on the Sega 32X, the ill-fated add-on for your Sega Genesis that was sort of meant to bridge the gap between the release of the Sega Saturn and give people an affordable way to get into the 32-bit generation. If you don't know the whole story, it didn't go so well for them. As a matter of fact, this has the distinction of being the final game released on the North American library for the 32X. Put on the store shelves as the 32X was getting discontinued and liquidated for like $20 or $30. So as you can imagine, this game didn't have a lot of copies made, didn't sell a lot. It's super rare, super expensive. So what do you say we take a look at this game, to say the least? Also, Twitch chat, I hope you have your headphones ready, because this game's pretty infamous for having some interesting music. I can't skip the opening title sequence here. Okay. All right. In 3, 2, 1, go. So there's a pretty tricky jump here that I've already messed up, but it's okay. Only waste a couple of seconds. So this level's all about keeping my height. Here I want to swing a little bit lower to avoid the debris. And then I want to start swinging a little bit higher to avoid buildings and enemies. I'm going to miss this. Nope, we're good. Start swinging a little bit lower here again to avoid the debris. And then we got a little surprise here coming up for you. It's none other than Daredevil in a cage for some inexplicable reason. You can actually use him as a summon, sort of like a Final Fantasy summon, as you're going to see me use during the boss fights in this game. So here I got to be really mindful of where I'm swinging. I can't hit my web swing too close to the top of the screen because there's a couple of frames where if I do that at the top of the screen, it'll actually drop my input and send me flying to the bottom of the level. This game has a lot of bad programming in it, and you're probably going to see some of that, especially during the combat. Got to make sure I'm getting higher here because there's a building coming up I have to avoid. And there we go. Coming up, we have the first boss. I'm sure you all know him very well. It's none other than Dragon Man. Make sure I hit him. Summon Daredevil twice. It'll kill him off screen to reduce lag, because it's very laggy when you're on the same screen as him. Got to destroy the generators to end the level. Now this is where things start getting fun, and the game gets completely broken. I'm going to be doing the first clip here. Every clip in this game has the potential to soft lock the game, so I just need a moment every time I do one. And we're good. So that right there, you can't clip through every wall in the game. Certain ones you will get stuck in every time. It doesn't like bypass entire levels, but it cuts out enough to be worth doing. All right, so this one here is a little tough because those enemies don't give me a lot of time to do this clip. It's okay, it only wasted a couple seconds. Yeah, so credit to AQ, FAQ, and MBossman who did tasks for this game several years ago. AQ, FAQ actually found out that you could clip through walls in this game, and then it was just up to me to kind of figure out where it was best to do it in the run. So we're coming up on the first boss here. It's pretty straightforward, so this is a good time to sneak in a quick donation.
Absolutely. We have a $25 donation from 4-String Steve. Hey Pete, good luck on the Spider-Man run. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna try to go clip through walls in my house.
Thanks, Steve. So for this boss here, I use a jump kick that's not intended by the game. I have to do a very quick button press sequence here to make sure that I'm not jumping and kicking too high, and it kind of just puts the bosses into an endless loop. This level here is pretty straightforward. I just got to make sure that I'm not swinging too high to avoid enemies on the top of the screen or too low to avoid the cars and enemies on the bottom. So this is another good time to do maybe like 2 more donations.
All right, we have a $50 donation from Red Wit Rage. Love GDQ and all it stands for. We have a $150 donation from Kopital. First-time donator, long-time watcher, thank you GDQ and all the runners for making this possible and giving back to such a worthy cause.
So coming up here on the next level, there's going to be a clip here that is pretty precise, and it's going to allow me to skip through the entire level. Have to make sure I do exact button inputs there, because if I messed up any of them, it would have soft locked the game and I would have had to reset the level. So here I'm just going to be hopping across the top the entire level. It's going to last for about another minute or so. This level is really brutal casually because this level, there's no checkpoints in this game during the levels. So if you die, you start at the beginning of the level. So I wanted to find a simple way to do this level. So we have about a minute for donations. So this is a perfect time to get some in.
Fantastic. We have a $250 donation from Anonymous. Keep up the great work for an awesome cause. We have a $10 donation from Unexpected Enemy. Hey Pete, congrats on making it to GDQ. I've been watching your videos since your YouTube days, and I just wanted to congratulate you on your Twitch success. Good luck with Spider-Man today and Club Drive tomorrow. You got this.
Thank you.
A $150 donation from Dissonant Muse 89. Been watching and donating for years. Keep up the great work, runners and organizers.
Got time for one more quick one.
All right, we have a $250 donation from The Muffin, who just writes simply, Pepsi Man.
So we're coming up on the end of this level here. I have to make sure that I clip back into the end of the level at the end here, otherwise I can fall off the edge and, well, once again, soft lock. Summon Daredevil again, doing damage to the boss off screen. Come up here, refill my web because web does not refill between levels in this game. Kick him twice. Summon Daredevil again, kill him off screen as I kill the generator down here. So I have to be very mindful of keeping track of making sure I'm not doing too much web swinging or losing too much health because things can get really dangerous coming up in the final level. Here I have to make sure that I'm web swinging perfectly between the enemies and these missiles hanging from the top of the screen, and also to collect the Daredevil token coming up right here. I got it good. That minimizes the amount of hits I have to do on the next boss. Each Daredevil will count as 3 hits, which will help with this next fight. Next fight's pretty straightforward, so if you want to sneak in another donation, this is a good time.
All right, we have a $100 donation from Nikuvio. Hello, SGDQ. Greetings from Ireland. Thanks a lot for what y'all are doing, putting this money toward Paper Mario's Glitch exhibition.
Gonna do a clip out here to bypass one of the most annoying parts of the game. Just climb my way to the top, out of bounds. Doing this level casually is quite the nightmare. So this is going to lead into the final level of the game, which I like to refer to as the Gauntlet. There's tons of things that can go wrong, tons of enemies, tons of walls I can cling to. It's just like a straight up 2-minute level. So I'm going to bypass, get some safety web first, and I'm going to bypass the second to last boss, which is in that room, but you never see her. And then from here on out, I just have to make sure I do some really precise web swinging to make sure that I'm not going to get caught out by walls such as that corner or these mines. It's a very tough level. Go a little higher here to avoid these guys. This is sort of the make or break for the speedrun. This is where you can lose a lot of time or gain a lot of time, because every time I clip onto one of these edges by mistake, they waste several seconds. And the mines are really hard to predict because they move super fast. So we're coming up on the final boss here in a moment. But if you haven't guessed yet, we're actually not even going to see the final boss, because I figured out that if you don't go too far to the right and you come to the bottom right corner here, you can clip through this wall, as long as I don't go too high, and just bypass the entire final boss. So you can do 1 more or 2 more quick donations here, because we're coming up on the end pretty soon here.
All right, we have a $10 donation from Noitanis. Being a medical engineering student and supporting MSF for a measly $5 a month, I can't donate much, but still couldn't resist donating. Unfortunately, I'm in a bad time zone and missed the Metroid block, but I will instead have this donation go toward the Super Monkey Ball 2 incentive. Keep up the good fight for medical care everywhere.
All right, we're going to be coming up on time here in just a little bit. As you can see, these mines can really ruin your run. And get ready on time. Time. And that's a new world record, by the way, by 4 seconds. Thank you, everybody. I hope to see you back during Silly Block. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks for allowing me, GDQ, to come here and stream or play the 32X for you. I believe that's a GDQ first, so thank you, guys.
Thank you, Pete, for that fantastic run. If you enjoyed this run, Pete will be running Club Drive early Thursday morning, so be sure to check that out. We're going to play a quick Twitch ad. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to Summer Games Done Quick, sponsoring Doctors Without Borders. Doctors Without Borders, or MSF, is a medical humanitarian organization working in more than 60 countries around the world. MSF is a private international association. MSF provides assistance to populations in distress, to victims of natural or man-made disasters, and to victims of armed conflict. They do so irrespective of race, religion, creed, or political convictions. Find out more at doctorswithoutborders.org. We have a $100 donation from Nanova. Global health and wellness in the face of conflict, disaster, and poverty. What an amazing cause. Always wanted to donate, and seeing how my research stipend was fortunate enough to come through today, I thought I would make up for lost time. Let's see as many runs as possible. Pepsi Man. And it looks like we're ready to kick it over to an interview with Proto Magical Girl and L Rock, so take it away.
What's up, Summer Games Done Quick 2018. My name's Proto Magical Girl, and I am here with the one and only L Rock 617, who is going to be running Batman Returns coming up after Spider-Man and Venom's Maximum Carnage. The people love you. Clearly.
I thought it was just a Spider-Man thing, but hey, that's cool.
The people like their superhero games. How are you doing, L Rock?
I am fantastic. It's a wonderful Wednesday. How are you doing?
I am great. I get to talk to you.
I get to talk to you, though. That's better.
Everyone's happy. So the first thing I want to get into, L Rock, is how L Rock ran X-Men Mutant Apocalypse at Summer Games Done Quick 2017. I remember it. It was great. I was on the couch. We had a ton of fun. So I'm curious, firstly, how you feel 1 year later returning for another beat 'em up on the GDQ stage.
Feels amazing. These are the games that I've played forever, and now I get to showcase what's great about them. What's best about them, I should say.
Very, very nice.
Awesome.
Very, very nice. So I'm curious then about your history, particularly, we'll start with just like in speedrunning in general. What's led you to this point where you're now just bringing these beat 'em ups to GDQ?
Well, I've only been speedrunning a little under 2 years now, and the games I started learning first were, as I mentioned, the games I grew up with. And growing up, I was a bit of a franchise baby. Like, I was really into comic books from a very, very early age. We're talking like 8, 9 years old. And even upcoming with a game like Maximum Carnage, another game I'm a very dear fan of, the game like Batman Returns. When I started speedrunning, I wanted to pick up a game that no one had really messed with yet, and I discovered this one, and there was just even watching the top times from that period, there was just so much unexplored about that game, and I researched it plenty. Old SDA forums, everything, and from everything I'd found, I'm like, we can put this together. And within weeks, I was setting like offline world records. It wasn't streaming yet. I just had this little RCA CRT with my SNES attached to it, and I'm like, yeah, we're doing this. So it's been 2 years. The game doesn't really have a lot of explored territory and speedruns outside of myself, but I'm infinitely grateful I get to show it this week. It's easily my favorite speedrun I've ever done.
Very, very nice. That's such a heartfelt explanation. Here's the question. So if you were to, I guess, kind of in the theme of superheroes, invent a time machine, go back and get your 8 or 9-year-old comic fan self and bring him here today, how do you think he'd react to you sitting on the biggest stage in speedrunning, raising hundreds of thousands of dollars for charity by playing a superhero beat-em-up game?
His first reaction would be, wait, you can block cancel? Second reaction would be like, wow, there's a lot of people here. And you brought them all here. So I don't know. I think he'd be a little bit more awestruck about like these flowers, this Mega Man perler. Because what's a perler when I'm like, it's like the 90s, you know? Like, he'd probably be a little bit more about like modern times. But as far as these games getting showcased, all the better. Like, these are the kind of games that people love to see. Because who doesn't love superheroes, as you pointed out?
I mean, honestly, yeah, superheroes are great. So the next thing I want to talk about is, I guess, both superhero and beat-em-up games. You've already told us a little bit about what draws you so strongly to superhero games. I'm curious if, like, what draws you to beat-em-up games as well, because it seems like that's what you primarily run, and superhero games and beat-em-up games kind of go hand in hand. It's a genre that really works, but is there something in particular that brings you to beat-em-ups over maybe some more traditional superhero platformers or other genres?
Definitely nostalgia. So much like most of us, I was a console baby, but even in addition to that, even after I got my NES, I was flocking mostly to arcade games because I was so enamored primarily with how the games looked, because presentation's always been a big thing for me. The difference between the first time I played Super Mario Brothers after I had my tonsillectomy versus the first time I played Ninja Turtles arcade at my local Walmart was like worlds apart. So that was just the start of it. I was 6 at the time, I think, maybe. So from there, I just got enamored with like, oh, these are like, I mean, the games were obviously very, very fun, but they seem to be a bit less revered in speedrunning just because like there's not a lot of cool tricks, but the tech that's there is just, it's some of my favorites. Like for example, prior to speedrunning, I had played fighting games competitively for like 3 years plus, and a lot of the techniques apply there. You've got your footsies, you got your spacing, you've got your just standard fundamentals of being like combat is just a big thing for me. Whereas in platforming, you're just like, I'm just gonna go as fast as I can through this level and interact as low as possible. That's rad. What I like to do is I just prefer to put people in their place. So I'm just gonna make sure I can sloth through waves of enemies and just move on.
Very, very cool. So my final question from me is, why Batman Returns? What's unique about this game over, you know, any of the many other beat-em-up games L-Rock speedruns?
So the presentation of the game is incredible. It's a Konami title, has all the standard Konami great stuff from the 90s. You have amazing sound design. The sprites look terrific. It's only a 3 meg cartridge, and how they put everything on there is like, it's completely beyond me. The music's really good, as I mentioned. The Konami sound team basically emulated Danny Elfman, so it just sounds amazing. Like how they did goth music was like, oh, well, they pulled some Castlevania strings there, obviously, because duh. And the game is one I played when I was a little bit younger. I think I was around like 10 or so. And of course it was Batman, so I was into it. But what makes it so unique is that it's a Konami game that plays more like a Capcom title, more specifically like a game like Final Fight. Plays a lot like those. Now why I flocked to that specifically, it just clicked. When I first decided I want to run it, sometimes it's just chemistry, and it just worked. And sometimes it just comes down to like, oh, I don't know how to beat this game and I want to go how to go fast, so I'm just going to beat it that way.
Very cool, very, very cool. So now I'm going to move on to some of your social media questions. So as you might know, for a lot of these interviews that we do, we send out a tweet on the Games Done Quick Twitter asking you for questions to give to our runners. We have a few of them here, and I'm going to ask them to L-Rock. So our first question is actually 3 questions between DJ Sylveon, Crepation, and A Priori Mel. They want to know collectively which Batman is the best Batman, which Robin is the best Robin, and who your favorite Batman villain is.
Those are all
so if you can give me
very-
the whole rundown on your Batman hot takes.
Very fair questions. Best Batman, collectively, Angry Batman is the best Batman because nobody wants to mess with that guy. Non-collectively, Kevin Conroy. Just anybody who reads Batman is going to hear it in that voice. He's so prolific.
The people agree.
Apparently.
You are a man of this crowd.
Best Robin. I forget Robin exists sometimes. I'll go with Burt Ward. Shout outs to Adam West and R.I.P. But Burt Ward, like, to me, brought that together. Holy ticker tape parade, Batman. Like, how can you get past quotes like that? You always remember stuff like that. Best Batman villain. Honorable mention Mr. Freeze, but I'm gonna go with Bane. Someone who's that overpowered and also smart is like, how's Batman contending with that? And it usually doesn't work out well in his favor. So, yeah.
Well, there you have it, the Batman hot takes of the hour. Our next question comes from Amaryllis Misaki, who asks, L-Rock, what's your favorite Batman game?
You're about to see it. You're gonna see that Batman game is gonna be the best Batman game. Let's just put it that way.
That's the answer I was hoping for, honestly. I love to see speedrunners who are this
Without
passionate
question.
about their games. Our final social media question is going to come from West Point Steve, who asks, regarding Batman Returns, what was the most difficult boss fight to learn? I know in beat-em-up games, it's almost all about the bosses and how you handle them. So
Yeah.
what was the biggest stumbling block?
It's hard to say. Consistently, well, okay, the hardest one that I still even have trouble grasping just because it's just so random and movement is so crazy is the first Penguin, because he floats around and it's basically like fighting a Mega Man boss, which you're all too familiar with. In fact, even during the run, I refer that Penguin is basically the wily alien because you don't want him to hug you. He eats like half your life if he touches you. It's not good. Most consistent though, final boss, because we're gonna hit him and we hope it's gonna finish him off, but it's hard. It's really, really hard. It's pure execution. There's nothing random about it, but we've got one chance to pull this off, and that's maybe more nervous than anything because we're gonna get there, but it could be a bumpier road than I hope. So we'll find out.
All right, that's very, very interesting. I'm looking forward to this run very much. I have one final question for you. L-Rock, I know you like superheroes. What if I told you there was a superhero on site right now?
Where?
Over
not-
there, we have our very own Prize Man.
Prize Man.
Hold on.
Show that leg.
Ah, there he is.
Prize man.
Prize Man. Hello, Prize Man.
It's the prize signal.
Hey, Frodo. Hey, J-Rock. How are you guys doing?
Excellent.
Good. So I did want to just pop in real quick, let you guys know of some of the great prizes we have coming up throughout this kind of, morning comic block, if you will. Again,
Turn the page.
I showed it off earlier, but I have to show it again. We have this amazing Spider-Man lithographic print from our
Print
good friend
is
and fellow
OD.
staff member, Deadly Waste. It's a super cool print. It was issued with
Chased by Doc Ock.
Spider-Man 45. I think there's only like 1,000 of these in circulation. It even comes with a
Dang.
nice little certificate of authenticity on the
that's a
back
gooder
there.
for sure.
Prove it is 100% legit. And it actually also comes with this beautiful Essential Spider-Man collection. So I mean, you haven't read Spider-Man, this is a great place to start. And all of that is only a $10 minimum donation from now until, I believe, Thief: The Dark Project. So you can get those donations in.
$10, it can be yours.
It really could. We also have some beautiful perlers, like a Carnage perler. This thing is like, yay big from our good friend Nick Franklin. It looks super sick, and I believe that's a $5 donation until Thief: The Dark Project as well. Now this is just really special. I love leaving it on the coffee table because it looks like it belongs there, but it is a Marvel anthology celebrating 75 years of Marvel. L-Rock, I know you mentioned you're definitely a DC fan. You're rocking Batman right there with the shirt and the hat.
That I
But
am.
how do you feel about Marvel? You have a
Love
favorite
Marvel.
Marvel comic?
Do I have a favorite?
Yeah.
Growing up, definitely the X-Men.
The X-Men? All right,
But Spider-Man's rad too. I love Spider-Man.
I can feel that. I love the old cartoon,
Oh, God,
With
they
the
were
opening,
both great.
great
They
guitar
were both
riffs.
great.
And Jubilee was in that too. She could make sparkles. That was about
Let's not go there.
it. Fair enough.
Plead the fifth.
But this anthology is also a little bit special because not only is it just beautiful by itself, it's actually signed by Stan Lee. Stan Lee himself, Excelsior.
I'm impressed.
Bless
Wow.
his old
Yeah.
heart. Wonderfully creative man. And I do have a couple more things I want to show you guys, but actually, here at GDQ, we are, 100% an equal opportunity employer, and I had a little bit of an altercation with someone early on stream, but we've worked our differences out, and I'd like to throw it over to the side there to my good friend Chompers, who's going to talk to you about an Xbox One bundle we have going on right now. Dark, 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 dark. All right, guys. I'm terribly sorry about this. This was clearly not the right move. Chompers, I'm sorry. Look, it's not you, it's us. We'll call you. Your check's in the mail. I'm very sorry about this, but I'm just gonna step in here if you don't mind. Thank you. Sorry, Chompers. It was just. We'll clear this. He won't need this anymore.
Man.
There we go. That's taken care of.
Feels for them.
All right, guys. So from now until the end of the Batman run we have coming up, we have a little bit of a fun Xbox One bundle. We're actually extending it just a bit. We had a bit of a schedule shift overnight. Wanted to make sure everyone had the opportunity to get your donations in for it. This thing is super cool. It comes to us by way of our good friend Azroy. You guys get an Xbox One X. Wonderful console right there. But on top of that, you get this excellent Pro controller. This is much more professional than the regular controller. In fact, it's so professional, I believe it's called an Elite controller. I'm not looking at the box. I'm just kind of guessing at this point. Don't worry about that. In addition to that, it comes with a bunch of great games. You have Halo 5. You have Titanfall 2. Criminally underrated game, in my opinion. Criminally underrated game. Excellent multiplayer, excellent single-player campaign. You get the Resident Evil Origins collection. Series of wonderful games, the Halo Master Chief Collection, and a little first-party game called Quantum Break. Pretty cool right there. And all of this entire bundle is $30 minimum donation, but you got to get those donations in before the Batman run coming up real soon. And hey, keep in mind, that $30 goes towards your entry into the grand prize, 150 cumulative throughout the event, and that gets you in for another Xbox One, a PlayStation 4 Pro, a Nintendo Switch, and a pretty sweet gaming computer. So, I mean, you're going to want to get in on that. Hey, guys, that's all for us. Remember, as always, you can head over to gamesdonequick.com, check out the tracker. You're going to find all the information you need on upcoming speedruns, incentives, prizes, and anything else you could care about. We're going to throw it back up to the front as we get ready for Spider-Man and Carnage, Maximum Carnage, something about Carnage. Arlena, please take it away.
All right, we have a $30 donation from Mega Man Red. Great seeing some great superhero games on display. Good luck to all the runners and to the GDQ crew. We have a $100 donation from Micro Reality, Pepsi Man Hype. And it looks like we're ready to go with Ninja of Sorts' run of Spider-Man and Venom's Maximum Carnage. Best of luck, Ninja.